Hey everyone, this is a new experience for me, but I am finally doing an official face reveal. I know this may not be as surprising for those who have seen my old clips and Twitch streams where I used to use a face cam. Now I'm finally here to do a proper reveal. Hello everyone. I know I look like an actual werewolf, but just relax. I'm joking. I'm only doing this to give you all a long overdue update on some important changes and matters that have affected me and this channel, and I find this is the easiest way for me to do that. But I'm also using this to prepare you all for my next expired KAOS video. I know it's been over 3 years since that last one, but I just haven't really felt the need to do it for a while. But now I am planning on using all of my old stream highlights that had a face cam but weren't recorded. So that is what I'm planning to do for my next Expired KAOS video, so look out for that. That'll be coming soon. So starting off, I need to have a heart-to-heart with you all. I have been making videos on and off here on YouTube for at least a decade. Well, I'll never know when I actually started since I can't restore the deleted videos that I should have privated back then. But it has been a long journey for me, and over the years, I have evolved significantly as a person and as a creator, so I'm glad to have gone through this alongside my friends and this community that has supported me thus far. Speaking of which, we have finally reached the first milestone in this channel of 500 subscribers. This is a really big deal to me, and I cannot thank you all enough for this and all of this support you've shown me. It has been my dream for most of my life to be a content creator full-time. Ever since Vanoss was a massive inspiration for me in my childhood, and that's so I can do what I love and provide entertainment for you all without having to worry about splitting my time with other jobs. And I truly feel this is the first step in reaching that ambition. Part of that dream is also to one day befriend a lot of my favorite creators too, if I'm lucky, but that's not something I could ever expect, especially since I'm pretty shy, plus I don't want to bother them with their already busy schedules anyway. To be honest, I've always felt kind of invisible, yet I've always been kind of afraid of being in the spotlight. I don't know who I would have been if I had gained exposure before I was ready for it, but I know that I wouldn't have done as well as I feel I'm doing now. Maybe I was being protected by something all this time, but who knows. I'm just thankful that I've had the time to grow without being overwhelmed. However, I've still had to deal with mental health issues and feeling like my content wasn't enough, which led to me trying too hard to perfect my videos and adding more and more to them as I've gotten better at editing. I like to keep myself busy, and that makes it incredibly easy to get burnt out, especially when I put in unhealthy amounts of effort into my work. Plus, I really struggle with thumbnails for games that don't have good tools or mods for it, which also delays my projects significantly. But considering all of that, I think the best thing for me to do now is to just relax on the editing a bit and try to find a nice balance for it all so I can prevent more burnout. If I had to give anyone advice on doing YouTube, or even just considering it, please do not put in more work than you are comfortable doing. Trust me. Secondly, I feel like I owe my OGs an explanation for why I decided to go down the VTuber path instead of staying faceless, quote unquote. Streaming on Twitch has been my main priority since I started around June of 2022, and the majority of those live streams were using a face cam. But towards the end of April of 2025, I turned off my face cam because it was hiding information on the screen that I was trying to show. But turning off the face cam made me feel almost liberated. I've always felt extremely uncomfortable being on camera, but I ignored that for the sake of entertainment. So after having that epiphany, I had a few 2D VTubers that I really liked, and I felt inspired to go down that path with my own content. So, of course, I decided to turn my Were-Dragon persona into a VTuber, but during the process of having that made, I discovered my new favorite streamer while scrolling through TikTok, Dervish, of whom is an amazing person that I highly recommend, by the way. But he was a type of VTuber I had never seen before, a 3D VTuber, using a furry VR chat avatar, or what I personally like to call a fur-tuber. This discovery opened up a new world for me and made me realize that maybe I belonged in that fandom as someone who has always had a preference for animal-based characters. And with that, I felt inspired by Dervish to do some research and go down the VR chat avatar path. So I canceled my previous plans for what I consider the better option, that would be easier with avatar bases and even more versatile since it would allow me to dive into VR chat someday as my own character and just hang out with friends. And thus, my beloved VTuber was born and has evolved since his creation. Lastly, I am sorry for taking a longer break between videos than I usually do. Fair warning, this requires me to cover some really sad news, so please continue with caution or leave now if you're not comfortable with that. These past 2 years have been really rough for me due to losing a lot of close family. It started with losing my grandmother in 2024, which was very difficult for me. But then I lost my brother and some other family members in 2025. But then this year I lost my best friend, Smokey, who had to be put down on January 23rd because the vet informed us that he was suffering from some form of cancer that was filling his lungs and all with fluid, and they said he couldn't be saved. He was so much more than a pet or a cat to me, but I had to make the hard choice so he could go peacefully. I still feel guilty for my decision, but I knew he was on death's door and I couldn't have lived with myself if I had let him suffer just to spend more time with him. And sure, I've thought about this probably more than any sane person would, but I can't help but think about the possibility that the vet could have been wrong about him not being able to be saved. But the reality is, I could sense that it was his time even before we received the bad news. I had him by my side every single night for 13 years, and that made him feel like a part of my soul. I always knew meeting him was destiny, and I can never thank God enough for that. It's actually a pretty strange story. So I was around 10 years old, and we were at our local flea market where there was a really nice family giving away a litter of kittens so they could have a home. And I immediately wanted one when we spotted them, but my father made a deal with me that I could only get one if there was one that was the same gray color as his truck. But as fate would have it, there he was. Most adorable fluff ball in the whole litter, and he had been my best friend ever since. But then throughout the month before we took him to the vet, he progressively stopped acting like himself. He stopped being active and stopped getting in bed at night to sleep beside me. But then it got worse, and no matter what or how hard I tried, he just refused to eat or drink. I knew there was something seriously wrong, so we rushed him to the vet, and then it all ended. Losing him hurt me in ways that words could never explain, but it's really the nights that are the hardest for me when I feel the most alone. But now I'm at a place where I feel like I can try to carry on with my life. But as I'm sure many of you know, grief is a never-ending road, with no destination. I can never leave this road, and it is a road I must walk alone. So that is why I had to take some time to myself, and why I really slowed down with content creation, which I'm really sorry for that. I have no plans of walking away from what I have built here, so I may not be perfect or even consistent with my content, but I will push through as much as I can. I don't expect anything from any of you, but your support genuinely means everything to me. And again, I cannot thank you all enough for staying with me on this journey. I'm going to leave this video with a memorial for Smokey to celebrate the life he shared with me. And the song I'm using for this will be copyrighted, but I've really taken it to heart because of my situation, and I honestly would not monetize this video even if I had the ability to. But I interpret this song as choosing to move on from something or someone that really means a lot to you. And that interpretation feels perfect for this, since I feel like the right thing to do is to let go of the loved ones I've lost so that they can rest in peace and be free. Especially Smokey, whose home was always with me, but now he no longer needs me. If anything, he was like the toothless, my hiccup. and I will miss them forever.
Goodbye, stranger. It's been nice. Hope you find your paradise. Try to see your point of view. Hope your dreams will all come true. Goodbye, Mary. Goodbye, Jane. Will we ever meet again? Feel no sorrow, feel no shame. Come tomorrow, feel no pain.
Sweet devotion, not for me. Just give me motion. You set me free. Over the ocean, far away. The life I've chosen every day. Now I'm leaving. Got to go. Hit the road. I say it once again. Oh yes, I'm leaving. Got to go. Got to go. I'm sorry, I must tell you. Goodbye, Mary. Goodbye, Jane. Will we ever meet
Got this one looking at the camera.
What?
What?
What'd you say?
I'm gonna mess up my cat on stream.
Oh.
He had like wide eyes, and I fucking turned the camera on him, and he just stared into the camera. Go back. What? What? You camera shy? You didn't want to be on camera?